Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaDungeon.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. Our first question comes from my mom, who asks, which Zelda game do you have the most nostalgia for, and why? Well, this is kind of a difficult question for me in a lot of ways, as I'm about to explain, so, tell me your guys' most nostalgic Zelda game in the comments, but, for me, it was, I first played Ocarina of Time. It was the first Zelda game I played, but I only got to Dodongo's Cavern, the second dungeon. I didn't even do that dungeon, so it was like I had so little experience with it. Then I played A Link to the Past, and I never beat it, and then I played Majora's Mask, and I did beat it, and it was also the first Zelda game that made a huge impression on me, so I'm inclined to say, Majora's Mask, because it was the first Zelda game that blew me away. It was like the earliest Zelda game I played that really made me a big fan of the series, kind of, but then there's A Link to the Past, which is actually the game I played through at length first, have more memories from a longer time ago. And I don't know, I think I have to say that simply because I played it for a longer period of time than an earlier period of time. But I want to say Majora's Mask. So, A Link to the Past, I guess. Tell me your guys. Aerolissa asks, do you have a favorite area theme in Zelda, like forest, fire, water, etc., and if so, which one? Well, I kind of like it when the Zelda games don't necessarily adhere real strictly to the standard area themes, I guess. I mean, I don't mind them, but I also like it when they not necessarily use something completely different, but do something a little more creative with those themes. I've talked about this with the dungeons. I like it when the dungeons have a lot of themes that come together to create a unique idea, and I guess I like that with areas too. However, I do like the, standard ones you see in Zelda, and Forest, of, the ones you mentioned, is my favorite. Although I think if there is, thinking about it more broadly, the one I like the most is, the creepy or undead areas. I just like those areas in general because they're cool. But then again, in Skyward Sword, it had one of my favorite creepy areas with the Ancient Cistern Underground because there was more to it. There was a lot more, creative thought put into it, I guess. And I guess that's just the main thing for me. I like them. I don't really care for specific I mean, I do have my favorite themes, but I like it when they do more interesting stuff with them, more so than any theme on its own, really. Juicy J asks, which Zelda game would you say is the worst boss lineup? Well, for me, that's always about difficulty and, just, the gameplay design of the thing. So I'd say that, for me, it's the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I'm not, entirely sure which of the two, I guess. Because the two games have very easy bosses, almost stupidly easy, honestly. I mean, you look at the Wind Waker and you have Goma, and the boss is just a puzzle. I mean, if you know what the solution is, you're gonna kill her in, 30 seconds. That's probably an exaggeration, but you get my point. You just swing, 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 dead, whatever. And even in Twilight Princess, you have Diababa, and I swear that boss hit me every single time just because I didn't care, and I still got through the fight. So I don't know. That just seems a little ridiculous to me, and there's a lot of examples of that in both games. It's a little tricky because I'd say that the Wind Waker actually does have a few bosses, one or two, that are actually pretty dang fun, and probably more so at least in comparison to how many they have than Twilight Princess does. But at the same time, I don't know, just the ones that are mishandled the worst in the Wind Waker are so bad. I guess I would say I like Twilight Princess's bosses a little bit better, but it's kind of a toss-up for me there. Be sure to tell me your guys' though. Robert Wolt asks, in the past, players have been plagued by many enemies that have been widely considered annoying, such as the Likes, Wallmasters, and the dreaded Kukos. Do you think that Nintendo should cease using these, or do you think that they add something to the series? Well, I wouldn't call Kukos enemies, but, that's the first time I've ever pronounced it Kukos. Anyway, moving on. I don't know. The likes can be very irritating. They piss me off too. Sometimes when I'm playing, I just lose my shield. I don't like that. But at the same time, I think having enemies that function as nuisances, as long as they're not really prevalent through the game, does add a little character to it. I don't know. It has to be handled carefully, and I've never found the presence of likes offensive, honestly, because usually it's pretty easy to get your equipment back, and it's just kind of annoying for a second. Maybe the enemy could be designed better to be less annoying and just more troublesome, I guess, if that makes any sense at all. But I've never really minded them in particular. So yeah. David Gutham asks, what are your thoughts on the idea of Zelda Wii U bringing back the 3 spells from A Link to the Past, those being Bombos, Quake, and Ether? We have not seen anything like them since that game, and I, for one, would really love to see them again. Well, I agree. I'd love to see them, the concept of magic spells in general, returning to the Zelda series. I mean, I like that idea. I think it makes it more fantastic. It's more interesting. There's a lot of different interesting ways you could program it into the game and design it. But they've also stated, kind of recently, unfortunately, that they don't really intend to do this, and that really sucks. But yeah, I would like to see it. I don't know about the A Link to the Past one specifically. I don't know if those magic spells necessarily would work too well, because it's basically just like, cast this spell, everything on screen dies. I don't necessarily want to see spells like that so much as some more interesting powers that you actually have to use intelligently in a fight, not just kill everything on screen. I don't know. I don't like that. But definitely magic spells in general. Linkity Link asks, do you think it would be a good idea for the next Zelda game to actually save the game after you beat the final boss? I think it would be interesting to see how the world is after the final boss is defeated instead of the game just resetting itself. Well, I never, had placed any importance on the idea of saving after the game is over in general, like for New Game Plus or whatever. I realize that's not what you're talking about, but some people have brought that up before, and I don't know. Unless there's some cool feature attached to that, I don't think saving after you complete the game necessarily needs to happen. But I have no idea how common an argument that is either. But yours is different. You're asking about the idea of being able to explore the world after the final boss is defeated. This reminds me of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, where they basically do that. It is an interesting idea. I don't know if they need to do it, but it would be cool to kind of see that, see how the world reacts to it. It would have to be in the right game where there actually would be an impact there, though. Like, the world was really, the whole world was feeling the events of something, and it's not just like A Link to the Past, where it might be a little more of an event that you don't necessarily know about, that not all the people necessarily know about, or necessarily know the truth about. It'd be more for a game where the worldwide event or whatever, its true nature is actually revealed to people, and there's like this big shock or whatever. That would be the best kind of time to do something like that. I just don't know if it needs to happen in every game. Shara Kinson asks, I've heard many people say that Master's Quest is a lot more difficult than the original, but I was never able to beat the original, only Master's Quest. How was I able to beat hard mode but not normal mode? Well, honestly, difficulty is a pretty subjective thing in the sense that, different people will approach the same situation in a game with different thought processes, different, tolerances, and, different, just ways of approaching the situation, different reaction times for different things. So they're going to have different experiences regarding how hard something is. I can't tell you exactly why you would have had more trouble with that, though I've heard that it's not, or less trouble with Master's Quest, but it's not an uncommon thing, at least with specific dungeons. I know some people have had an easier time in Master Quest. I had an easier time on certain ones, not all of them, just like one or two. I don't remember which ones, I can't remember at all, but yeah, I did have more trouble on one or two than I did in Ocarina of Time than I did in Master's Quest. And that's common, to what I understand. I don't know about the game overall, but I wouldn't be surprised if other people had the same experience as you. It's just, it happens. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Redlink98 asks, do you like or hate the Majora's Mask saving system in the 3-day cycle, or does it not bother you? I actually liked it quite a lot. Maybe not the exact structure of the saving system. I actually have no real opinion about that. I think it was fine. But as it relates to the 3-day cycle in general, I think that was a very important part of the game. I think it was very cool. I think it added a lot to the game. It added a lot of depth to how you approach side quests and just made the world feel alive as events were happening independently of you. I know a lot of people didn't like this stuff. I think that maybe in that case, Majora's Mask probably just wasn't the game for them in terms of all the, living and breathing world, character development and whatnot. I know some people also had trouble with, the time limit aspect. I honestly didn't. I just played the Song of Inverted Time, and I felt that I had plenty of time between major sections of the game to just complete them and then go save. But different people played through at different speeds, so I guess Majora's Mask is a little unforgiving. Maybe they could have done something to make it a little more forgiving. But honestly, I enjoyed it quite a lot how it was. I didn't have any problems with it. So I guess I can't really relate on that issue that much. I did like the saving system a lot. The Missing Link asks, I was wondering if you could explain what a Fierce Deity is, because in the manga they say that a Fierce Deity is very rare. I don't know. Fierce Deity da Boss has YOLO swag. Asks, what would you think about a spin-off of Majora's Mask? More specifically about the Fierce Deity, and Nintendo would create a game around him, and you play as him. Would it solve our, hundreds of millions of questions we all have wondering about Fierce Deity? If they did one, yeah, probably would be designed explicitly to answer all those questions. Well, they'd try to answer all those questions, but in true Nintendo tradition, there would be a ton of unanswered questions. because they never really explain all those plot details. I honestly don't think Nintendo would ever make a game explaining it, because I don't think Fierce Deity had an explanation. I think it was just something cool they put in there, and they didn't have a lot of idea behind it. It was just supposed to be another creepy dark mask that was actually, you tamed it and you used it to fight the bad guy. It was just like a style thing. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't think there was a really thought out backstory that they were hiding from you. That said, I don't think Majora's Mask, I've talked about this a lot, but I don't think Majora's Mask should explain all its mysteries, because I think what's kind of cool about the game is how unexplained everything is. It's the sense of mystery that I think makes Majora's Mask a really great story. And even though I don't think that Fierce Deity, Link, or whatever, was a major, or at all, a part of the story, honestly, I think that if they did explain it, it would take away some of the magic of it. So maybe they could include it again sometime, but still make it mysterious in another way. I don't know, but I don't necessarily need to see it again. Stephanie asks, in the credits of Twilight Princess, a clip of Shad and Ashei in the Sacred Grove is shown. Do you think that they will end up being Stalfos? No. Melanie MacRae asks, in Twilight Princess in the Sacred Grove, you go against the Skull Kid and the puppets he summons. Why do you think their faces all look like the moon in Majora's Mask, and why does the Skull Kid summon puppets? They don't look like the moon, they look like the Skull Kid's face. As for why he looks like the moon and or Majora's Mask, I don't know, coincidence? And as for why he summons puppets, I don't know. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact information in the description, and I'll see you guys later.